Watch Sister Wives this past Sunday. So I'm gonna start it off saying it wasn't very Cody heavy. This episode was kind of focused on Janelle and Meri's relationship. And I always thought Meri was controlling and fake as hell from the beginning, because Janelle always said she felt, when they addressed Janelle and Meri's relationship like seasons ago, Janelle always said she felt tortured and that Meri was kind of like a bully, was what Janelle kind of explained Meri to be. And Meri is coming to her talking about, I heard you didn't want my house on the pond. And she's like, yes, rightfully so. Because when we all lived together, you restricted my kids from going a certain place of the house. You did this, you did that. And she felt like it was more for control. Meri was trying to say she was working. And we know Janelle always worked as well, because that was their whole storyline from the beginning. Like, Janelle always worked. So if Janelle is able to work, and Meri only had one child and Janelle had a whole bunch of children, so why couldn't the kids be free? And Janelle is like, no, I think we should have stuff legally on paper. And I agree. And look at what's happening now. Christine is basically leaving the family. So she has a point. And Meri is all offended. She's like, oh, I thought we were going to leave the past in the past. But the past is not going to be all forgotten. It determines how we move in the future. If in the past you were very ownership and restrictive with your love and your environment, why would we want the only pond on the environment to be where your house is? And for a fact Meri would restrict access. For a fact. So Janelle had a point, and I was all the way with Janelle, because Janelle is like, no, she was rightfully so. And if you notice, Janelle is standing up more for herself now than she ever did, and I loved watching it. She's like, I said it because of our relationship in the past and how you acted. To me, it was all about control, and I don't want anyone controlling access to the pond on the property we all paid for. Very good, Janelle. I agree. Meri was trying to bully her again, but those days are gone, Meri. Keep it moving. Then we go back to Christine, and her and Isabel are going to New Jersey. And Cody is adamant about he's not going to be there for the surgery. And Robin has a fake segment talking about, I'm saddened Cody cannot be there for Isabel, but I don't want to be away from Cody too. That's his child. I'm telling you, if Solomon had to do something in the hospital, I guarantee you Cody will be there. I guarantee you. He will be like, screw this whole pandemic, screw quarantine. The fact that he's not there for it's a surgery. It's not like she's going there just for, I don't even know what it could be, where you wouldn't support your child. Cody to me is very, very confusing. Bro, what the entire hell? So Isabel is obviously still emotional. Christine doesn't give a crap. Christine's like, I'm over this whole relationship. And they go. They don't do the surgery in this episode, but I guess the next episode they'll probably do it. Isabel is saddened, but Christine is like, there's nothing she could do. We see next week's segment that when she wakes up from anesthesia, she's kind of asking for her dad. I wouldn't even ask for my dad. I would be so salty. But my dad would never even do that to me. That is crazy to me. Who does that? Then Janelle's grandbaby, unfortunately, Madison's kid was born with some extremities abnormalities where she has some missing limbs. So for her to kind of grow appropriately, they decided to go ahead and amputate one of the legs so that they could just start training her with prosthesis, so that she kind of grows up normal. And we see a lot of Paralympians now, how they've always had prosthesis and their lives were not affected. So I think that's the thought process versus having a whole bunch of surgeries that might still end up where you are. And every surgery, opioid addiction now, I wouldn't put my baby through that, but it's a tough decision because you're basically signing your child up. Even though she was born with missing limbs, the fact that you're making the decision to amputate, it's such a big deal. Even adults making that decision is a big deal. So I can't even imagine the torture and the research they had to do to come to that. But I think from the outside looking in and being in healthcare, I think that's the best decision for the kid, because now growing up, there's so many resources, especially in the United States, with prosthesis. She will grow up walking normal pretty much, because now the limbs are going to be equal, and she would already be starting off learning how to use it from a young age. So she's going to be a champion. She's probably a future Paralympian or an Olympian. So It's a hard decision, but they had to do what they had to do, and it is what it is, you know. So that was my little rant for Sister Wives. Tell me what you thought about this episode. I know everyone is still mad at Cody, but yo, Christine has a history of being selfish. I'm not going to go into it today, but she does have a history. I think she used to be the favorite wife, then Robin came and blew up the spot, and she can't cope. That's what it is. But you all let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment. Bye.